Hi. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Enjoy the video.
Hi, this is Trevor Emdon from wizardofwisdom.com, and today I would like to talk to you about the question, do we really create our reality with our thoughts, our consciousness? There's a lot of stuff in the marketplace out there about this right now, and there has been for a very long time in one form or another. I mean, I'm talking about thousands of years in one form or another. In our time, it's been relabeled and repackaged as the law of attraction. Now, I've talked a lot about the law of attraction, but I want to make a distinction today that I think may clear a lot of stuff up, and may be somewhat controversial. That's fine. If it's controversial, let's have a conversation about it. There's plenty of spaces, they'll be below this video, and wherever you're watching this video, plenty of ways to have that conversation. So, the answer is yes and no, which is not helpful, is it? So let me try and clarify. What we tend to think of as reality is, this solid stuff outside of us, the world out there, the world of things, trees and cars and money and even relationships and people. And that's how the law of attraction has been interpreted, which means that there is a huge minefield of stuff about when things go, in quotes, wrong. So there isn't a law of attraction author, teacher, or guru living, or not living probably, who hasn't been asked, well, are you saying that, I created for my child to get sick and die, or something awful like that? And then there's some fluffy answer. I'm sorry, but I think those answers are generally fluffy because it can't be yes and it can't be no. So I'm not the only one who struggled with stuff like that. Even though I've read and taught and thought a great deal over many years about the law of attraction. But recently I've come to see what I think is the truth of it. So, the answer is we do not create reality like that. Think of it like this. Have you ever been called by a friend, perhaps, or maybe if you have children who are grown up, by one of them, and they're in great excitement, and what they tell you is, hey, I've met the love of my life. I'm really sure this man or woman, this person, is the one. This is it. I want you to meet them. I can't wait for you to meet them. And so the excitement is built up, all the hype around them is built up, and eventually the day comes when you meet, whether it's at a social thing or a dinner or a dance or whatever it is. Somehow you meet this person and you're unimpressed. You're just like, what do they see in them? Now, we all accept that happens. And the reason that I'm telling that kind of anecdote, because we're all aware of that phenomenon, is because, thankfully, we all do see people differently. If somebody was like, that person is someone that everyone would fall in love with, and that person is someone that nobody will ever fall in love with, my goodness, it would be a terrible world, right? So, but it's not like that. We all have our own lovable qualities and traits, and we all have qualities and traits that irritate the bejesus out of other people. And our beloveds kind of go, well, I like the way you do that. Yeah, but it upsets, I don't know, the neighbour or the mother-in-law or the lady in the grocery store or whatever. Some people will crack up at a joke, and other people it will just wash completely over them. Does this mean that the joke is or is not funny? You see, the humour is not in the joke. It's in you. The sense of humour is in you. And if that touches that particular joke or that particular comedian, touches the right nerve or tells it in the right way for you, you find it funny. And the person next to you, maybe they come from a different culture or something, doesn't get it. That's not funny. My dad used to love telling puns. He was great at them. He'd come up with a whole stream of them one after another. And he would crack up telling them. And the people listening to him would go, oh, that's awful, right? So the point is, we don't all see the same reality anyway. You know, another example would be a life, drawing a live model. If you get, I don't know, 20, 30, 50 art students in one room all drawing the same model, the end result will be that they'll all have very different pictures. Probably, hopefully, all recognizably the person who was modeling for them, but all different. Nobody sees reality the same way. You have never met anyone who will agree with you about absolutely everything, and you never will, because there is no one reality anyway. There's only your reality. Now, this is where we come to the crux of the matter, the answer to the question, I think, because I think what's confusing us here is nothing more nor less than a semantics issue. It's what we think we mean when we say, I create my reality. What we create is our experience. And that is a totally different thing. It feels the same because if we say, let's think of an example. Let's say, I don't know, you're baking the Christmas cake and it burnt. And you've got like 20 people coming for Christmas. Now, if you're the cook that burnt the Christmas cake, you might go, oh, it's terrible. It's a disaster. There'll be no cake for the family and all the friends that are coming around for Christmas Day. Or you might just see it as hilarious and say, well, you know what? It's a blessing in disguise. My cake, they don't care anyway. And even if they do, well, we'll eat something, I don't know, something else. I'll create something else. What different people will see different things different ways. I try to pick something fairly non-controversial there, because if I start talking about sick children or the third world poverty and that kind of thing, then we'll get in all kinds of arguments. The point is, no one is creating their external circumstance. What we are creating is our experience by what we think, by thought. Now, that then leads to the question, should we be monitoring and changing our thoughts? Because that's the next thing that happens. But that's the next argument, that's the next line of logic. But the answer to that is no as well. Because it still assumes that there's an outside world and that we react to it. Our experience is reactive to our outside world. That's not the case. That is not the case. We are actually allowing some thoughts to be the ones that we say, you know what, that's the way it is. I'm trying to shade the light a bit, that's better. We say some thoughts are the ones that are true. That is definitely true. Now, Tony Robbins teaches this. Tony Robbins teaches, or he taught me and us when I was on his program. I don't know if he still teaches it. I imagine he does. But he talks about beliefs being an idea like a tabletop, he used to describe it, that you gradually build legs underneath until it becomes a very solid structure. And then you go, well, that's true. That is the truth. That is the way life is. That is the way relationships are. That is the way the world of career and finance functions. That's how politicians are, whatever. And we short-circuit, we shortcut to a conclusion, by stereotyping, and we all do it. I'm not talking about prejudice, and that comes as a byproduct sometimes, but I'm not talking about that. I'm saying our brains are wired to work out how A becomes B, becomes C, becomes D, becomes E, and just go, oh, forget B, C, and D. Let's just go from A to E, because I can now see that. Every time I see A, it leads to the conclusion E. Always. And that's not the case. All right? So, should we be monitoring our thoughts? No. We should just be aware that thoughts will come and thoughts will go. If we hold on to them and give them energy and go, you know what, I think that's it, I've got the answer to that, then as soon as we do that, we have boxed ourselves in to one belief, one pattern. What we need to do is allow ourselves to know that's one way of experiencing whatever. That's one way of experiencing. There's a story about the author Ernest Hemingway when his son was killed in battle. And I didn't know Ernest Hemingway, obviously, but his son was killed in battle, and Hemingway was informed. And that night, Hemingway went to a party and was dancing with someone. And somebody said to him, Didn't you just hear today that you lost your son? And Hemingway apparently said, and it may be a misquote on the words, but the meaning of what he said was, yes, and I realized that sooner or later I would have to get over that. I chose sooner. Now, that may sound callous to some people, but he decided that he could have one set of thoughts about it, and I could be in grief, and I could spend weeks or months or even longer mourning the loss of him, grieving for my son, or I get on with my life. I'm sure he still felt that loss. Who knows? I don't know. But there's no one right way. There are no rules about the way to experience anything. There's only your way, or my way, or somebody else's way, and each of us always has a choice about how to experience absolutely anything. Anything. I could go on and on and on with examples, but I don't want to make this video too long. The point is, should we then be monitoring our thoughts? And the answer is no. Simply let them go. New ones will come up on their own. New ways of seeing things, new ideas, new ways of solving problems will come up on their own, unless you box yourself in. Oh my goodness, sorry, hit the microphone. Unless you box yourself in and say, but this is the way it is, or there is no way out, or this is the only way of it. Everybody would agree with this. And one of the kicker ones, in my experience, well, all you're saying in my experience is, these are the thoughts that I regularly have about this particular issue. Those are your thoughts. Yeah, your experience. Yeah, it's valid. But it doesn't mean it has to be mine. It doesn't mean it's the only way of looking at it. And it doesn't mean that it validates whatever it is the point you're trying to prove. It just means that you validated it inside your own head. So, do we create our own reality? No, you do not create the external events of the world. Do you create your experience? Absolutely. And the only experience you can ever have is of your own thoughts. There is no other experience you can have. But that's good news, because your thoughts are not fixed unless you fix on them. See, we are not our thoughts. You're separate from your thoughts. You're a person who has thoughts in the same way that I can have this coffee mug. But it's not me, is it? It's separate from me. And your thoughts are not you. They come, they go, and you're free to notice them, hang on to them, or release them. And then you'll have a different experience. That's the answer to do with create our reality. Now, if you're stuck in some way of thinking, some problem that you can't see a way out of, and I know that happens a lot. It's happened to me a lot. I'm not immune. I've maybe worked on figuring out how to get free of those patterns more than a lot of people have. I spent a lot of my life working on that kind of thing, studying it. And I can tell you the first step is you've got to free your mind of the thought patterns that you've got. You've got to break the patterns. Now, some people find that easy to do. They get it maybe from a little talk like this. Got it. Others are going, yeah, it's all very well to say that, but what about this situation? What about that? I understand. I get that. That's very real to a lot of people. So I've come up with a little process, which is called the 5-minute impossible problem fixer. And what it does is it frees any locked in thought pattern that you've got. It frees it. It will get you outside of whatever box your thoughts are in about anything. And it's free. So all you have to do is, there'll be a link below this video if you're watching on YouTube, and it's wizardofwisdom.com. And all you've got to do is go to wizardofwisdom.com, click the link, and download the 5-minute impossible problem fixer and go through it. Obviously, it doesn't do anything if you don't actually read it, and there's an audio of me talking you through it. That's completely free. I hope that's helpful. And thank you for watching, and I hope this video has been helpful too. And I will see you next time.
That's all, folks. Now click the link below the video to get your free gift. Thanks for watching.